Have you ever wondered if a beard can keep you safe when you get punched in the face? Well, I have, and I've seen a lot of stuff online saying that beards do protect you. But, as you know, everything on the internet isn't always true. So I thought it'd be fun to do a little experiment. I don't want my face to be super damaged. I will be using a boxing glove. When I first came up with this idea, I had many volunteers to repeatedly punch me in the face. And well, it feels nice to be that cared about that people would line up to punch me in the head. The punches of multiple people taking turns, even one person going over and over, there's a lot of wiggle room and it's not a consistent variable. Now in an experiment, we only want to change one variable. Now I've devised a way to consistently punch myself in the face, but before I get to that, I'm going to show you how I measure it. This is Dennis, the Dilophosaurus, and this is an accelerometer. It's going to be the star of our experiment. This device can measure acceleration, gravity, it can measure magnetic fields, it can even measure its own orientation. And what's really cool, as I rotate the cube, it can sense the rotation real time. But I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the acceleration. So, look, if I shake that, you can see it registers those impacts. The really cool thing about that app is it will record the data from this accelerometer. If I have a repeated impact force, I can go into that data and retrieve the peak moment that it punched my face. With this device's ability to interpret the data of impacting my face, and with the app's ability to record and report that data, we can get a pretty accurate picture of what amount of forces we're dealing with and consistently measure repeated impacts to my face. What we're gonna do for this experiment is I'm gonna get punched in the face 25 times with a beard. I'm gonna shave my beard. Then I'm gonna get punched in the face 25 more times. We're gonna keep all the variables same except for one, whether or not I have the beard. Now in my science class, we talk about something called claim, evidence, and reasoning. My claim is that my beard will reduce the impact force from a boxing glove punched into my face because it's a cushion. My evidence is going to be that data, and depending on that evidence, that will either prove or disprove my claim. Scientific claim can also be known as a hypothesis. At the end, we will use reasoning with my data, which is the evidence, to confirm or deny my hypothesis. This is a simplified version of the scientific method, but I think it's pretty cool. But how do I maintain a consistent punch every single time? There's a long line of people that would love to punch me in the face, and while I appreciate them, they cannot be as consistent as a machine. I'd love to segue into a build montage of an automatic punching robot, but if I was to build a punching robot, there would be a lot of variables and a lot of uncertainty in the punches, which could null my experiment, which could make my experiment useless. If there's too much inconsistency in my experiment, that's going to make the data I collect bad data. Just like if you were weighing yourself, but you're moving your arms up and down, that'd make yourself slightly lighter, slightly heavier, slightly lighter, slightly heavier. Because my skills aren't good enough to build a punching robot, and even if I did pull that off, the data wouldn't be good, I've devised a very simple solution. I have, suspended from the ceiling, a punching glove. Now would be a good time to mention, please don't try this at home. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stand flat against this cabinet with my head here, and that way my neck moving around will not factor into the experiment. I'm going to put a full arm's length away, and then I'm going to get hit in the face. And then I'm going to do that again. Because the glove is experiencing the same gravitational pull, and because the way it's affixed to the ceiling isn't going to move, we should be able to maintain pretty consistent punches. Now, you might have noticed that glove has a bit more punch to it than a normal boxing glove. That's because I cheated. Not really cheated, I just want to have decent data. Inside this glove, not one, but two of my workout weights. Now, if you want to be as swole as me, You got to get these reps in. A lot of reps. Because these each only weigh 1 pound. But they're very tough, and I like to train with them. Each of these weights weighs 1 pound. This glove weighs 1 pound. So we're working with about 3 pounds of weight, not to mention the weight of our accelerometer. Speaking of weight, the weight is over. I'm going to put this accelerometer in the boxing glove. Let's take a look at the app to make sure we are recording our data. I'm going to start swinging this. And let's see if that is reported. And now I'm shaking it around. And we can see that there's some variations on that graph, which means we are successfully recording the data for our experiment. I got the app recording, I got the glove ready, got the camera recording. Now there's just one more thing. I'm gonna put in this mouth guard so I don't chip my chompers. This is a good time to say, don't try this at home. Let me try it. It's time to get punched 25 times. All right, folks, so we just got the data for me being hit 25 times. I'm gonna go shave my face and gonna get punched again. Can't wait. I'm back, and this is what my face looks like. I'm back here, I got the same rig. I'm gonna stand in the same spot, and I'm gonna wear the same mouth guard. I haven't messed with this rig at all. The only variable I have changed is not having a beard anymore. I'm all shaven, for better or worse. Let's get this recording and let's get that delicious data. So, what did I learn from my experiment? Before I pull up the numbers, from my own personal experience, it definitely hurt more without the beard. The hits were more direct, and it slid around a little bit when I was punched with the beard. But without the beard, it just kind of stuck in place. And I think this is why boxers will often oil their faces, or at least it looks like it, so when you get hit, it slides off. So you have to have a really direct hit in order to do more damage. But let's crunch the numbers and see what we can discover. Here is a data table of the results. I have the force in G's from both with my beard and without the beard, and I have the force in newtons. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what a newton is, it is a unit of measurement of force. A newton is the same amount of force as the weight of an apple in your hand. If I was hit in the face with 40 newtons, that would be the equivalent of 40 apples being set on my face. So that's just a good ballpark to give you an idea of the forces we're dealing with. 1g is the amount of force placed upon you by just sitting in Earth's gravity. On the moon, it's about 1/6 of 1g, which means you would weigh 1/6 of your weight. And on Mars, you'd be about 1/3 of your weight. The clean-shaven punches averaged 46 newtons of force. Meanwhile, the bearded punches averaged at 37 newtons of force. That means the beard absorbed or redirected 18 to 20% of the force of the boxing glove. At point number 1 on this graph, we have the most powerful hit from the beard and from the face. And then on 25, we have the least powerful hit from both. You can see the top 13 hits, the 13 most powerful hits from the face and the beard. The face has much more force being exerted than the beard. Now after that, from 14 to 25, the face actually has less force transferred into it, and the beard has more force. I have no idea what this discrepancy is, and I'd like you to tell me what you think down in the comments. If I kept going with higher weights, do you think my results would carry over? Let's go back to claim, evidence, and reasoning. My claim was that having a beard meant that it would absorb or deflect a certain amount of force from a punch. My evidence is this table and this graph made from the data on that table. Now, the evidence showed that there is an 18 to 20% reduction in force. That range, by the way, comes from different types of averages, from a mean, where you add up all the numbers and divide by that numbers, and a median, where you line them all up and pick the middle numbers. My evidence is the data table and the fact that the face punches had more force in them than the beard punches, despite the other conditions being the same. And my reasoning is that because the only variable I changed was having a beard and then not having a beard, that supports my claim. The beard did protect me a little bit from a punch. And who knows, that 20% at a different level of threshold could be the difference between fracturing your jaw and breaking it. Neither, I imagine, is fun, but I would rather have a fractured jaw than a broken one. Thank you so much for watching. Tell me what experiment I should do next down in the comments.